It is the peak of summer, 1348. The citizens of London are entirely unaware that their familiar world is about to vanish. Within a few short months, every second person walking these streets will be a corpse. For now, however, the morning sun reflects off the Thames. Small boats cut through the thick mist as oars strike the grey water. Bells chime from countless stone steeples, echoing across the city. The atmosphere is a heavy mix of burning wood, animal waste, and river silt. You are standing at the busy docks of Billingsgate, observing the heavy vessels arrive. Massive bundles of wool are hoisted into the air. Mediterranean traders argue loudly with local laborers who cannot understand the foreign tongues but recognize the glint of coin. Far across the English Channel, a mysterious agony is claiming lives. People speak of strange lumps and blackened skin. Yet, here in the capital, the horror feels like a distant ghost story. This city feels like it will last forever. Most residents dismiss the rumors as sailor tall tales or divine anger directed at distant lands. Today, we shall explore an empire of timber and stone before the shadow falls. This city houses nearly 50,000 souls, packed tightly within ancient Roman boundaries and spilling over the bridge toward the south. It is a world of wood, where upper floors lean over muddy paths, overshadowed by the giant spire of the old cathedral. War demands funding, which means every commodity is taxed heavily. The economy thrives on the export of raw wool and the arrival of vintage wines. Money moves constantly, yet so does a simmering bitterness. Three factors define this era. First, the cost of bread is soaring while pay remains stagnant. Second, the extreme density makes every day a gamble against fire or crime. Third, whispers persist about a lethal sickness haunting the ports of France. Ships bring news of abandoned towns and mass graves. Most locals ignore it. Disasters are for other people. London believes in its own resilience. Our journey tracks the city from the first light at the wharves to the silent darkness of curfew. We will visit 7 specific locations from dawn until the deep night. This is a portrait of a society that has no concept of its impending doom. Our first stop brings us to the waterfront at Billingsgate. In the early light, the noise is deafening. Sailors scream in various European dialects, while workers haul heavy sacks of grain. The wooden cranes creak under the weight of imported barrels. One careless move on the slimy boards could send a man into the freezing river. This is the heart of English commerce. Raw materials go out, luxury goods come in. Bankers from Italy fund the king's military campaigns with massive loans. A common worker earns maybe 2 or 3 pence a day for this grueling labor. It buys him some ale and a spot in a crowded bed. There is no such thing as savings for the poor. He grabs a quick meal of dense bread and weak beer for a tiny fraction of a penny. Pickpockets linger in the shadows while guild officers search for smuggled goods. Punishment for theft is swift and public. A vessel from the continent docks nearby. A wary sailor describes a fever that kills in hours, leaving dark blotches on the skin. His listeners simply shrug. Men of the sea always tell tall tales. The central market is now bustling with activity. Stop 2 takes us to the heart of Cheapside. By mid-morning, the area is overflowing with people. Wooden stalls line the lanes, featuring colorful painted signs. Since most cannot read, a boot signifies a shoemaker and a loaf represents a baker. The buildings lean so closely together that neighbors can touch hands across the street. A woman argues over the rising price of flour due to the ongoing war. She pays the high price regardless. A single chicken costs 1 penny, while preserved fish is the only affordable option for many. Near the public stocks, officers drag a man through the dirt for stealing food. By midday, he will be trapped in wood, facing the taunts and rotten fruit of the crowd. Justice is a spectacle here. Buckets of water sit ready at every corner, as the threat of a great fire is a constant nightmare. A crier announces new levies to pay for the soldiers in France. The people mumble in frustration but do not yet rebel. A servant carrying a heavy load of groceries weaves through the throng, heading toward the more affluent districts. Let us follow the path of wealth. Stop 3 is a grand merchant's residence near the great cathedral. At noon, we see a different side of life. These homes feature stone foundations and rare, expensive glass in the windows. Inside, a wealthy family sits down for their primary meal. They feast on roasted meats, fine white bread, and imported wine. While they eat, beggars gather at the gate hoping for leftovers. The master of the house reads a report from overseas. Trade is slowing down because entire villages in the east are becoming empty. He worries about his profits and his shipments, never imagining his own life is at risk. He believes the plague only strikes the sinful. Social laws dictate exactly what a person can wear based on their status. Any attempt to dress above your station is met with a fine. Moving across the river, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Stop 4 takes us to the outskirts of Southwark. In the afternoon, we cross the massive stone bridge, which is cluttered with leaning shops. This area exists outside the strict laws of the city, hosting gambling dens, taverns, and licensed houses of ill repute. The streets here are drowning in filth. Open drains and overflowing waste pits create a permanent stench. Families are crammed into tiny, single rooms with floors covered in rotting straw. Illness is a permanent resident here. People suffer from constant fevers and stomach ailments. A local tavern is packed with rowdy patrons. A violent argument erupts over a game of chance. In a dark corner, a woman coughs blood into a tattered cloth. No one cares. Everyone in this district is battling some form of sickness. The city guards rarely bother to visit this lawless zone. It is a place the wealthy ignore until they need its vices. The bells soon signal the time for evening prayers. Stop 5 is the Hospital of St. Bartholomew. In the late afternoon light, we enter a stone hall managed by monks. The beds are shared by strangers. A laborer with a shattered limb lies next to a dying child. The healers use dried herbs, traditional prayer, and the lancing of veins. They have no understanding of how germs spread. They reuse the same water to wash dozens of patients. They burn sweet-smelling incense, believing that bad smells are the source of the evil. A monk listens to the frantic confession of a dying traveler. The man speaks of mountains of bodies piled in the streets of France. The monk simply prays for the man's soul. He assumes this is a curse meant only for the king's enemies. It never occurs to him that the wind carries no loyalty. Our next destination lies to the east. Stop 6 is the formidable Tower of London. At dusk, this stone fortress looms over the water. It serves as a palace, a jail, and a warehouse for weapons. Inside, smiths are busy forging thousands of new arrowheads. The machinery of war requires constant administrative work and heavy taxes. Deep in the damp cells, prisoners wait for the king's mercy or the executioner's blade. A messenger arrives on a dying horse, carrying urgent news from the southern coast. Sickness has reached the English ports. The authorities debate their options. If they close the gates and stop the ships, the city will starve and the people will riot. They decide to wait and hope for the best. It is a fatal mistake. The sun sets. Our final stop is the city under the cover of night. Total darkness swallows the lanes, broken only by the occasional flickering torch. Most families are locked safely inside, gathered around small fires that smell of cheap tallow. Waste is gathered in pots to be thrown out at daybreak. The night watch moves through the shadows with lanterns, calling out that the hour is late and all is quiet. They watch for thieves and smoke. In the hidden corners, people still debate the terrifying rumors. A merchant laughs, claiming the sea will protect them. A priest warns that humanity must repent. A weary laborer simply drinks until he forgets. Slowly, the lights go out. The river continues its silent journey toward the sea. London sleeps in a state of false security. No one realizes that in 4 months, the cemeteries will be full. By winter, the living will be outnumbered. We understand these details through ancient tax records and the accounts of local coroners. Guild papers tell us the price of bread, while church chronicles record the sudden arrival of the shadows. We use historical research and visual reconstruction to bridge the gaps in time. We can recreate the smell of the streets and the rhythm of a worker's life. This is the city on the edge. The last torches are extinguished, and the people breathe the same infected air. By the time autumn arrives, the ships will bring the invisible killer up the Thames. The first few casualties will be ignored as common fevers. Then come the swellings, the agony, and the piles of dead. Half of the population is about to vanish. The survivors will eventually wander through a silent, empty landscape. But that is the future. Tonight is a warm summer evening. Tonight, London is vibrant and loud. This was the final normal day.